Welcome to another episode of the International Commission Podcast. We're glad you're here. On this podcast, we talk about all sorts of things about missions, how to share the gospel with people from different backgrounds. We talk about different cultures. We share stories, funny and inspiring from the mission field. Talk about our favorite and least favorite things from around the world, all sorts of stuff in between. And just to give you a peek behind the curtain at who IC is, who works here, how our ministry works, and how you can be involved with us. I'm Bucky Elliott, the media director here, and my co-host today, again, is Alli Carr.
That's me. I'm back again.
And we have a very special guest today, our area strategy team vice president, Laura Malati.
Wow, thank you.
Yay.
Alli, tell us about our episode today.
Yeah, so we have two fun segments on today's show. First, we'll be talking with Laura about IC's area strategy team and discussing who they are, what they do, and why it's important to International Commission's global kingdom work. And next, we'll be talking about the worst weather we have experienced while on a mission trip. So stick around to hear some fun or maybe not so fun stories about the weather.
What even happens?
Laura Malati has been serving with IC for 17 years, and she is IC's vice president of the area strategy team. Very fancy title, very important role. Laura keeps track of our global statistics. She oversees our leaders around the world and so much more. We'll be getting into that in a few minutes, but to start us off, Laura, I would love for you to just introduce yourself a little bit more to our audience by sharing in just a few minutes kind of who you are, where you come from, and how you heard about IC and came to us 17 years ago.
All right. Yes. Well, thank you for having me. That's awesome.
Yeah, we're happy to have you.
I was born and raised in Brazil, and we were very Catholic. We went to church every week. But the personal relationship with Christ was not there for me. And so I struggled with it. I was a person that had a lot of fears. One of my main fears was dead people and the things that are related to that realm of spirituality. And I struggled with it a lot. I couldn't sleep by myself. I couldn't be in a dark room. And so grew up with that. And after I finished college in Brazil, I went to live in London to do a business course there for international business, and there I met some Christians who invited me to their home groups, a group to once a week, and I started going to their team, and there I accepted the Lord while I was there, and the Lord has changed my life ever since. I gave all my fears to Him, and He has really turned my life around. I started dedicating myself more and more to ministry until I came to the U.S. in 2001 to do graduate school of theology in Abilene Christian University. From there, became a children's minister. I was working as a children's minister at a church when they decided to go on a mission trip to Brazil. And because of so the pastor contacted IMB, who recommended the International Commission, and from that point is when we went on a mission trip with IC that summer of 2007. And after I came back, I was recommended to the president of IC to be somebody that could be serving at IC. So came talk to the president, and from there we became. I decided to make the change from children's ministry to missions and come to International Commission. Started working at IC in 2007 as the associate in the area, ST area for Brazil, just Brazil. But then it kept growing. Of course, we know everybody who works here in the office, we do multiple things.
Yes.
And so I started being asked to take care of other countries too, here in the office, assist other countries. And from there, then 2018, the current president, Brent Edwards, invited me to be the ASTVP. So.
Wow, that's a great recap, powerful testimony of just how important it is to, like you said, when you were in England, some people invited you to a home group. That's how you heard about the Jesus who saves and how you have a relationship with him. And I love that you said that your life has not been the same since, because it really hasn't. Look where you are today.
Amen. Yes.
That's amazing. So you said you worked with other countries kind of in the area strategy realm at IC. Have you had any other roles, or have you always been on the area strategy team?
Always at the area strategy team. Of course, like I said, we all do multiple things here, and I have helped the previous president, Rodney Cavett, with the development, some of the reports and all, but always involved in terms of what's going on in the field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So area strategy team, we say AST internally for short. So we always say AST. So can you just give us a 30-second summary of what the AST or the area strategy team does?
Yes. Basically, the area strategy team is the overseas department of the International Commission. We deal with the people in other countries. So we're not the ones recruiting Americans to go on a project or anything. We're the ones setting up the projects overseas and developing relationship, a network of relationship. We basically follow the principle of multiplication. That's how I see over this 52 almost years of ministry, we have been developing a network around the world of almost 1,000 volunteers nowadays that do and get involved in coordinating or assisting or sending caravans of missionaries to different types of projects that IC does. And all this network is supervised by the area strategy team.
Wow. That sounds like a big responsibility. And a lot of volunteers around the world.
A lot of volunteers.
How many area strategy VPs do we have, like leaders around the world?
Yes, we have a total of 8 VPs. The areas, somebody at some point in the when I came to IC, it was already done. So I don't know when, but they divided the world into different areas, and that's how IC sees the world in general. It doesn't really go exactly like geography, I guess, but our areas are Africa, North Africa, Middle East, then Asia. South Asia is separated from Asia, and Central Asia, which are the Persian countries. And then after Central Asia, Eastern Europe and Western Europe, and then Latin America, North America, and Oceania. So we have a VP for each one of those areas.
And do they live here in the United States, or do they live overseas?
The only one that lives overseas is the Latin America one, Juan Lavado. The others, they live in the U.S.
Okay.
But they depend on the leadership of the coordinators and volunteers in those areas of the world.
Yes. Like, for instance, Sambo Liga supervises 3 different areas, and Central Asia, Eastern Europe, and North Africa, Middle East. And obviously, he has associate VPs in some, like David Gabrielian for Eastern Europe, Central Asia, and Elikaram, that is the one that takes care of NAM, because we need people there that understand that culture, and also they help and then it goes from, they are the only ones that are actually considered associate VPs because they need that title to go and represent IC and all but we also have area coordinators, like Africa has several area coordinators in Southern Africa, Eastern Africa, Western Africa, and Central Africa, and so and then from there we also have countries like in Latin America, because the ministry has been there since the beginning and all. It's already organized in a way that every country has their national leader, national coordinator, who also has a network under them.
So they are the people that help to develop the partnerships that we have, the different projects that might become an end-to-end project, or it might become an international, which we take Americans on those, or year-round Operation Andrew, or all these. Can you explain what those different kind of partnerships are, and how do they come about in the first place?
Yes. IC never goes anywhere that we're not invited. That's one of our biggest, says. We don't just show up. We go where the work is done and where we are welcomed and where people buy our vision, understand our vision, and want to be part of it. They embrace it and they want to partner with us. So they send us an invitation. For every single partnership, it comes first a written invitation. And once we receive a written invitation, that's when we start a 3-phase process, which is one is prayer and preparation, one is the visitation at time, and the other one ongoing discipleship that that we consider discipleship even from the beginning, of course, because every time you write the name of somebody on an Operation Andrew card, you participate in the discipleship of that person as they become believers anyway. So all that happens after an invitation. And then once we receive the invitation, we also are invited either for an international project, which what we call the projects that have American participants. Like if you hear, oh, is this an international project? That's what we mean. We mean Americans are going.
Yeah.
Those are only a percentage of of all that we do, all the partnerships. In fact, it's a small percentage. We have about 20 to 30, sometimes 30, but at the moment between 20 and 30 that we do every year with American participants going. That doesn't mean that other countries are not going to be there too, because we are an international organization and we have people. So, but when Americans are not going, we call nationals to nationals, which we say end to end. Yes. And so what that means is the nationals are the ones that are receiving, and the nationals are also the ones who are sending a team. And so the structure of the end to end, traditional end-to-end, is exactly like an international project. The ones that have Americans, they also have to do all the 3 steps. They have to do a preparation, a visitation, and an ongoing discipleship, all that exactly like the other. The only difference is Americans don't go. And then we have a third type of project, which is also done by nationals, which is called Operation Andrew. The Operation Andrew process is, let's say, a group of churches or even one church in a location decides to use Operation Andrew as their evangelistic tool for a few months or for a whole year. And that's what it is. The difference is there's not a preparation retreat. There's not a team coming. They do their own visitations. They do the church members receive the Operation Andrew cards, and they are the participants also. They pray for the non-believers. They visit the non-believers. The church may have an event among themselves, at Easter, let's go visit people. What do? Do you knock on doors? No, we do Operation Andrew. So we have plenty of people that we can visit, that we have been praying for, and we're developing relationships. And so at the end of that process, they send us a report of how many people are visited and all that. So that's the Operation Andrew. A lot cheaper, a lot easier, done by the local church when they already have a mission mind, an evangelistic mind, and that sometimes take time. So for that to develop, they may need to receive an end-to-end project or an international project and develop into being able to do Operation Andrew by themselves.
Because they've seen it, they've experienced it, they've seen it modeled, they've seen the results of it.
Yes.
And they want to keep going.
Those are the most successful Operation Andrew process.
Awesome.
Yes.
You did a really great job recapping really our 3 main pillars of our organization. The international projects, which again is the Americans going on a short-term mission trip. We call it short-term mission trip here. The national to national projects, or end-to-end, and then the Operation Andrew partnerships. Those are the 3 main pillars of our organization and how we're able to reach so many people, spread the gospel with all these volunteers, all these people who are willing to go and participate in and use the Operation Andrew structure, which is writing down names, praying for people you know specifically to come to know Christ, and then being intentional with those relationships in order to share the gospel with them.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, you mentioned preparation retreat. Can you tell us and tell our audience what is a preparation retreat and kind of what happens in that phase?
Yes. Usually, once we receive the invitation, we should have at least 9 months. It's like a pregnancy, to do the visitation part. So that 9 months preparation is intense. That's the strength of IC's partnerships, is the preparation part. As long as the local church is well involved in preparation, the more they're involved, the more we have success. And so when it's about 6 to 4 months before the visitation week, we have a preparation retreat with all the pastors of each church that is enrolled to participate, and also like the leaders, the main leaders that are helping them lead in the terms of getting ready for the logistics, the prayer ministry, everything. So they go to this preparation retreat that sometimes it takes only 1 day. Sometimes there are locations that they prefer to spread it through 2 days. But basically, what we do is we go over the 3 phases, again, like preparation, visitation, and ongoing discipleship. We explain all the details about that. Especially, we make sure that they are in the right track, preparing, that their churches are doing Operation Andrew, because that's the main pillar of our what we do, our partnerships, and that the church members are praying, are preparing, are developing relationships with people so they can have visits for the team that is coming when they come. And I wanted to say, many times those of us that go on a project, on a mission trip, we're not aware of how much preparation happens for us to be there. And those local churches, they really partner with us in this. They invest their time, their efforts, they invest their prayers, and they invest their money too. IC provides material, provides training, but most of what is going to happen in their local church during this is provided by the church. And people take vacation to be there when we show up, and there's all these ladies cooking for the missionaries, and there's all these drivers that appear and take us on a ride to go visit somebody in a home. We don't understand, those people are also taking time off work. They're not just sitting at the church all the time. They're there that week because we are there. And so they take time off work. They offer their cars, their gas, everything. Others are cooking. When we come back to the church during between visits, and we see like a pound cake there, some coffee, somebody had to take the day off work to be there and to provide that for us. During the preparation retreat, we tell them to start doing a food bank where they do, non-perishable, start creating a non-perishable foods and stuff, donating to the church so that they can have enough of the basics to provide for the missionaries while the missionaries are there, to feed them. Many people sacrifice, and sometimes the ladies from the church that even receive the team in their homes to give them lunch or something. So there's a lot that we eat a lot, we see a lot of people, but and many times it seems like it's so smooth and so easy that we don't understand how much work was put into that. They also have to have a person responsible for the visitation, and that person is responsible for creating the times and picking up all the visitation cards from all the church members saying, oh, I want you to visit my mother-in-law on Tuesday at 9 a.m. Well, how are we going to put it? We need to put it in a whole calendar of the week, that where everything needs to be followed, and people need to show up at a house where they have an appointment for that time.
And
so
who's going and who's going to get them there and who's going to pick them up and all of
that's
those
right.
logistics.
And the visitation team, as you know, always has a driver, always has an interpreter if it's in another language, for the country, and has the missionary. Many times the person who booked the visits likes to go on their own visits
Mhm.
too.
Mhm.
So we go, we need to show up on time, we need to leave in a reasonable time. So all that is organized by that person that is responsible for the visitation for that local church.
Mhm.
And so there's a lot of details involved in all that, and it's truly a partnership
It really is.
between us and them.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That is cool.
And I think it's important, and I just think it's a blessing for us to understand that when we go there, they really value our time, and we really value the ways that they treat us. But we don't get to see everything that's going on that you just described, all the scheduling, all the planning, all of the vacation that people have to take, whatever else it is that they're putting off in their life to spend time with us, to go and partner with us
Mhm.
in evangelism, but then also just to take care of us and
Mhm.
just to show us hospitality. And I've experienced some pretty radical and extreme hospitality that did blow me away. And I did understand how much sacrifice people were making. And I was really honored, really humbled by that. But also, that's just like the tip of the iceberg, because we don't see all of this other stuff. I think that's really important for us to
Yes.
understand what and then the impact that can make on our lives.
Yes.
I think that's a big thing that maybe we don't talk about enough. Is we think about going and helping people share the gospel with people that they know. And of course, we know it's mutually beneficial. If you've ever done this, you understand how blessed you can be by doing this, by seeing how God can work through your own testimony, by watching God transform lives there on the field, which is a foreign field to you. The friendships that you build with your hosts and guides and pastors and translators and all of that. But really, so much life change, so much heart change can happen to us as well.
Yes.
And I want people to know that and to understand that when you go and you do something like this, you go on one of our international partnerships, your life could be changed just as well as anybody that you share the gospel with.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. And, I want to give an example here through my sister. My sister went as first time as a participant on our international project that we had in Brazil this year in July. And she was assigned to a church as a participant. Like I said, we do have nationals and people from neighbor countries that many times join the Americans when we go on international projects. And so she was assigned to a church, and she had trained the EvangeCube before. I took one for her. She was nervous about what she was going to say, like any first timer. She didn't know exactly what she was going to do and how she could really help, in a visit. And she was blown away by right away the first day. She had like 11 people that either rededicate their lives to Christ or accepted the Lord as their Lord and Savior, and that was like a big impact in her life. Also, the way she was treated by the local church and cherished, and whenever she was leaving, they were crying and all that. That made a huge impact on her, because she's a person that has been very mistreated and many times has gone through betrayal of friends and this and that in her career, in her realm where she lives, and what she works for, and people trying to trip each other or whatever, and so she came out of that understanding that it's not that the world is bad, is that she maybe certain environments that where she lives and what she does have people that are prone to be more like that, but that there are good people in the world that love her, that it's not, the problem is not her, but it is the world, and so she came out of that a lot more confident about who she is in God, in the Lord, and all that. And so all that wouldn't have happened if she hadn't had the initiative of saying, I'll go. you know. And so many times we forget that part, that when we say I'll go, the Lord will always, you know, it's not by chance that the word of God says it's by giving that you receive.
Yes.
You know, when we are ready to go, the Lord is not going to just bless others with our presence, but He'll bless us. And He will heal us from things. He will show us different things that are important in our lives that we need to change, or give us new perspectives of things. And going and serving the Lord in that capacity is really life-changing. We say that it's not a cliche, it's a true experience that we face. And that's why the Lord told us that was what He wanted us to do until He comes back. You know, because He knows that's what is going to enrich us, will grow us, it will help us. Helping others will make us better and stronger in our relationship with Him. So
amen.
Going on an international commission, international trip was one of the reasons I'm here now serving full time. I'd done all sorts of mission trips before where we did all kinds of work, construction work and feeding and all kinds of different things, definitely evangelism. But I went to Nepal with IC, and that was the first time I've ever been on a trip where all we did was share the gospel all day. And I got to experience all of this kind of hospitality that we're talking about, and the preparation that we're talking about, and just the boldness of some of those believers who are in a Hindu context going and sharing the gospel with people, and me just seeing lives changed in an instant. That really had an impact on me. And to see that God can use something so simple as just presence, just being there, and my testimony, and just the power of His word, despite what I ever said or did, or what I felt that I messed up maybe in the conversation. Seeing God work despite all that was just incredible. You know,
yes.
And we take
to me too.
Yeah,
yes.
Awesome.
When I went to Brazil that first time in 2007, and I saw over 2,000 people coming to Christ, I was like, how I could not reach that many people in my lifetime. You know, and in a week we were able to accomplish all this. So I want to be part of this.
Absolutely.
So if we say let's go, I think if you are right now facing a phase in your life where you don't know what to do, or you don't know the future, you want God's guidance in what to do next, the greatest thing that you can do is go share the gospel with somebody.
Absolutely.
You know, because when you go, the Lord will show you the path. If you are going a different direction, He will correct it for you, because you are available. You are telling Him, I'm here, Lord. I am ready to do what you called me to do. And that's when He starts working miraculously in our lives. So go.
Yes.
And because His word doesn't return void, you can't mess it up.
No.
If you go and you tell, you can't mess it up. We can't, as an organization, we can't promise you what kind of results you're going to see, except that you're definitely going to be blessed and you're going to see God work, because He's doing the work. We partner with Him.
Yes.
We're partnering with internationals, but we're also we're partnering with God and what He's doing. So
yes, and even our personalities, everything that we have, it goes together with what that person needs to hear. You know, if we are a calmer person or a person with less words, well, maybe that's what is going to really catch that person that we're visiting. You know, a person with a bubbly personality and talkative and all, like me, for I'm very talkative. I talk a lot. Maybe I will overwhelm somebody. But a person that is shy and is precise, you know, and all will make a much better impact on somebody than I would, you know. So,
shifting gears a little bit, can you tell us how it is that IC establishes partnerships in new areas, or sometimes in hard to reach places?
Yes. Basically, we follow the concept of multiplication. We say we start with one person in a country. So we somehow our AST for that area, they get in touch with a person in a country. and it's a first start. You know, that person is the one that we call the gatekeeper or the man of peace. Is the one that opens the doors for us in that country. The person that catches the vision in a way that they say, I gotta be part of this. And they embrace it, and then they started introducing us to pastors, to people from other churches. Sometimes a group of church that doesn't have necessarily any organization like an association or a convention, but they are all friends in town. Everybody knows each other. So if one person that has an influence in that community, in that country, tells them, I want to do this, they'll probably listen much better than if we come and try to tell them. You know, so that person is the gatekeeper. They start developing their network under them, and that's how we multiply, and that's how we get invitations, and that's how we do partnerships. So
love it. That's so
awesome.
Great.
It's all friendship.
Yes, basically.
Relationships. Great. Mr. Rogers knew what he was talking about. You gotta be kind and make friends and be a helper, right?
Yes.
Gotta use that. Now that's one of the things I do really love about IC, that it is all just, it's organic, it's homegrown, it's relationships. It's all based on relationships and strategic prayer, and just, you know, believing that God can use anybody, any ordinary believer that knows Christ can be used for his mission.
Yes.
And that's how it works.
We like to say, like, if you were not supposed to do this, then maybe you would be saved and God would already take you to heaven. You know, what are we here for?
We're here for a purpose. That's right.
Yes.
And that's it, too. To be part of the Great Commission, make disciples of all nations.
Right.
We've all got a part in it. Going, sending, praying, we're all part of it. Yeah, thank you, Laura, for explaining how the area strategy team works and how it's kind of the backbone of developing the parts of IC partnerships that we do see on the surface, or that I think most Americans see, which is, you know, the mission trips, the international partnerships. So much goes on that they don't see, you know, for decades, years, months, weeks before and after we go.
Yes.
So that's super important. We have a surprise for you. It's a lightning round. If you choose to participate, we're going to ask you rapid fire questions, and you just answer the first thing that comes to mind.
Yep.
Honestly, don't think about it too much. Just whatever the first thing is. You want to give it a go.
All right.
All right. And Alli and I will just go back and forth on these questions, okay?
All right.
Here we go. Lightning round. Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Would you rather live in the city or country?
City.
Books or movies?
Movies.
Do you hate spiders or snakes more?
Snakes.
Would you travel to Antarctica?
Yes.
Would you rather live in a castle or a beach house?
Beach house.
Yeah.
Puzzles or board games?
Board games.
Lord of the Rings or Chronicles of Narnia?
Narnia.
Yay. Europe or Asia?
Ooh. I love the whole world. I don't know.
Okay, let's say you have to live there.
I live in Europe.
Okay.
Would you rather cook or clean?
Cook. Yes, please.
Cake or cookies?
Cake.
Would you rather travel to the future or the past?
Past.
Do you listen to music while you work?
Not usually.
On an airplane, do you prefer a window or an aisle seat?
Aisle seat.
Would you rather have a personal maid or a chef?
A personal maid
Or a chef.
Personal maid.
Would you rather be barefoot or wear shoes?
Barefooted.
Can you surf?
No.
Can you
Sorry.
juggle?
No.
Roller skating or ice skating?
Roller skating is how I grew up doing it.
Oh. What is your favorite airport in the world?
Singapore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good call.
Last one for me. Would you rather sleep in a tent or a hotel?
I'd say hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Have you ever eaten a bug on purpose?
No.
All right, that's the shot clock. Good job.
Thank
You
you.
really did a
That
good
was
job.
fun.
It's so hard not to just sit and think, be like, well,
Yeah.
I know.
that was
It's
fun.
hard.
We
Four.
learned that Laura likes to cook, but she does not like to clean.
No.
I am the opposite. I would much rather clean. I love cleaning. I do not
Oh.
like cooking.
We should pair up when we do our family meal prepping. So we'll do that every couple of weeks. We stock up when we do a bunch of meal prepping and freeze meals. You can come over and clean.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
As
That's
long as you feed me.
really mean.
Can't just
I-
work for free.
I wish that when you looked up recipes online, it would show you pictures of what all you'd have to clean up if you make this meal.
That's right.
Because I got to know what I'm committing to.
All right. Yeah.
Yes.
You know? Yeah, I'm the same. I love to cook. I do not like to clean. So
Yeah.
I'd want a maid as
I've
well.
learned to, like, as it cooks, do some cleaning. Otherwise,
Yep.
you get overwhelmed.
That's what
like,
I do. I just
to
kind of
leave
clean
it
as
for
I go.
right after you eat, you feel like, oh, I'm done. I don't want to see this anymore. And then you have a pile
Yep.
of dishes and all that. I like to be doing it as I cook. you
Yeah,
know?
I try to do that
Me
too.
too. All right, we're going to move on to our next segment. The worst. Okay, this segment is called The Worst. And today we're going to talk about the worst weather situations or like natural disasters that we've ever encountered around the world, particularly if it was on the mission field. So I hope you brought an example. Allie, why don't you go first?
Yeah, I'll kick us off. So first thing you need to know about me is that I hate the cold. I hate winter. I don't like being cold. I don't even like being a little chilly. I love the summer. I would much rather be hot. So with that being said, I was on a year-long mission trip around the world several years back, and I just spent 4 months in Southeast Asia where it was super hot. And after those 4 months, my team and we traveled to Japan, and we were in Japan in January, and it was freezing. I mean, we went from hot for 4 whole months to intensely cold, and everyone got sick, just like the drastic change in weather. I was constantly cold. Something you need to know about Japan is that a lot of homes don't have central heating. So you just have to wear all your clothes. They put a hot water bottle in your bed at night. It's just cold. And so not only was I just cold inside, I was cold outside. And during that month long of ministry, my team and we did a lot of walking. That was our transportation. We had to walk to the train station. We had to walk to the university where we were building relationships with students. So we were constantly outside, just in the cold. And it, of course, I mean, I don't like being cold. It's very uncomfortable to me, but it was the fact that I had just spent 4 months in like a very hot area. There was no progression into the coldness. It was just freezing. It snowed. Just walking around outside all the time, everywhere. I wore basically all of my clothes all day and all night because I was so cold at night. Like I actually had to wear all my clothes at night. The Japanese culture, a lot of them will wear masks if they feel sick or even just for like just for hygiene or for sanitary purposes. Well, I just wore face masks just to help keep my face warm.
I have done that before too.
I was just cold all the time. So, it wasn't a natural disaster or anything, but it was the fact that we were in Japan in January and we were cold inside and it was just cold and snowy outside and we just had to walk around everywhere. And that was pretty miserable for me. See, I've been to a lot of hot countries too. I think Cambodia is the hottest place on the planet. You sweat all day, all night, but I'm able to tolerate that more than just being freezing all the time. So
Me too. I agree. If I got to pick one, it's hot or cold? Hot.
yeah.
What about you? Hot or cold?
I don't like to be hot, but I guess, I grew up in a country where the humidity is really high. I'd rather that to be sweating than to have the heat that we have in Texas.
Yeah,
that
it's
for
different.
me it's like you can't breathe.
Mm-hmm.
Like you go outside, it's like you can't pull the air, you know, like it's just so
You, like,
dry.
walk around
My
in an air fryer.
contacts get all dry and my eyes get red and all that. I guess the Texas heat, to me, I'd rather be in the cold than that, you know. So
either extreme is not fun.
That's true.
You know, 100 degrees or more, it's not fun.
I've definitely been miserable from the heat. I just think, and I understand the principle. A lot of people say when it's cold, you can always put on more clothes, but when it's hot, like you can't. I mean, you can only take off so much. Like you can't take your skin off, you know, and I understand that, but the misery that I feel from extreme cold is worse than the misery I feel from extreme heat. So
I guess I always put more than I should on when it's winter because I'm afraid to get a cold or something. So I'm always like, sometimes I sweat under my
I get
clothes.
really hot in the winter because I'm wearing too much. Yeah.
I guess that's why maybe.
Yeah. Do you have an extreme example? The worst weather you've ever experienced?
I'd say when I went to Tajikistan, we were planning on going on different areas there, and the roads are very dangerous in Tajikistan. They are 93% mountains in the country, so you just see abyss, you know, on the side of the roads. They even joke like, we can't really get drunk in Tajikistan if you want to stay alive, you know, because that's why they don't drink so much. Like there's no drunk drivers very much there, you know. But we were there and we had to go, and unfortunately there was a snow and bad weather. And there, many of the roads, the rocks from the top of the mountain fall into the road whenever there's a bad weather, and then they have to close the road for a while until they can actually go and clean up the road for people to pass and all that. So we did have to not go to a certain area because we couldn't.
There's not really an alternate route.
Yes, yes, and the people who are there are also isolated until further notice. So so it's that was I think something for me. Having a storm and driving in the snow in a country like that, for me, I think it's the worst. Like when you don't see any, like you don't see a meter ahead of you very much because the snow is so strong and all that. I just
especially when you're on the side of a mountain on a skinny road with no guardrail. I know we've all experienced that in different places. It's terrifying. It's really good for your prayer life though.
Yes.
Praying the whole time.
Yes.
I think that the most extreme heat I've ever experienced was in Jordan. And it was hot a lot of the time, and just the same kind of dry heat like you're talking about here. Just you feel like you're in a convection oven. It's just you feel like you're just being roasted all day because the sun is really intense.
Sauna.
Yeah. And it's all desert, rocky desert. And so it's like the sun is radiating up off of the ground too. And so it was hot the whole time, but we were in homes a lot of the time. And so it was cooler in there. I mean, not a lot of AC, but just in stone concrete buildings, it was cooler in there. But we took a trip to Petra during the trip, and it was a long trip down there from the city that we were actually working in, but we all wanted to go, and it was worth going. It was really, really awesome. I would go back and spend days there. It was amazing. But it was the hottest I've ever been. The soles started falling off of my sandals because the glue melted. It was that hot. It was hot. I couldn't stay hydrated. They had, there were little Bedouin kids selling Gatorade. I probably bought like 6 of those off of them. They probably made their whole month. But that was really hot. So miserable. But because where I was and what I've seen, I was like, this is awesome. It was still worth it.
I didn't realize it was that hot there. What do you think the temperature was? Do you have any idea?
I don't know. Fahrenheit, it had to be 115 or so. Oh. It was really, really hot. But again, it radiates off the rocks, and it's just so hot. So when you're leaving most of the complex, Like you walk back to like the main entrance. Everybody has to, or all civilians have to go back through the main entrance. And you walk through the slot canyon. It's shaded in there, of course, and it's a nice relief.
Mm-hmm.
But then you get to the end of that, and you still have to walk like, I don't know, it might be a mile, half a mile, just in the direct sun with no mercy. It is hot, and that's where they're selling all of the Gatorade and sodas and stuff. So I mean, they know what's up.
The fact that the soles fell off of your shoes.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
That's next level.
Pretty hot.
Yes.
The ground was so hot. It was just like cooked them. I tried to plank. I'm trying to bring back planking, by the way. I know it's an outdated trend, but I like to plank in front of UNESCO World Heritage Sites. So I thought that I should do that, at Petra, and I paid for it. And maybe I discovered why planking's not really a thing anymore, because I burned my hands, not like really bad, but at least first degree burn, like really bad.
Was it worth it?
Sunblock. Yeah, definitely worth it.
I heard that our team that is going to a country in the Middle East this November, I guess. It's going to be on 130.
It's pretty hot.
135 degrees there when they go. So they're going to experience that.
I think the best idea is just to dress like the locals. Because, millennia, they've figured out what to wear to survive in the desert. So,
oh my goodness.
Not a good commercial, Laura, for that trip.
Sorry.
So do you have other bad weather stories? The worst weather story?
I mean, really, the Japan one is what stuck out to me most. Just being constantly cold for an entire month. I mentioned being in Cambodia a few months before, and it just being sweltering hot. I mean, you sweat from the minute you wake up until you go to sleep. And where I was in a very rural village, like no electricity, no running water, but I stayed in kind of like a bunkhouse with some other girls, and there was one fan, like a ceiling fan. So I guess there's electricity, but like very, very limited. One ceiling fan high in this vaulted ceiling. And if you laid in the middle of the floor, in the middle of this room, still, you might be able to feel a slight breeze from this fan. And it was just so miserable. It was no relief. But yeah, it was just, you shower in the morning, shower at night.
And it's pointless.
Yeah, pretty much. Again,
you shower all day, really.
Either extreme is challenging and uncomfortable. But yeah, being in that cold Japan, walking around, like I bought warmer clothes when I was in Southeast Asia, because they have the markets and everything's super cheap, but I did not buy enough, because it's so hot. I'm like, oh, this jacket will be warm, but no, I needed like a winter coat, which I actually did buy a winter coat when I was in Japan because I needed it so badly.
Wow.
But yeah, I haven't been caught in any natural disasters that I can think of. No like tornado or hail or earthquake. Yeah, nothing like that.
I rode out Hurricane Gustav in Haiti on the southern coast. So we took a direct hit, and it was terrible, of course, but it was really interesting. Honestly, I survived, in case you're wondering. And we were holed up in a hotel in town. That's where the churches we were working with wanted to put us. And I realized why they liked that hotel, is because it was pretty secure and pretty sturdy. So what happened was the day before the hurricane hit, some of the Haitians at the church were trying to tell us. There was a couple of kids actually were trying to tell us. I speak very limited Haitian Creole, but I could tell they were trying to talk to us about weather, and they were saying, "Yeah, it's lots of clouds in the sky. It's white, and everywhere." And I was like, "Oh, snow, snow, yeah." So I was trying to talk to them about snow, and they're like, "No." Like they've never seen snow, but they know what it is. I was like, no. So they were really trying to tell us about something, but we didn't know what it was, so we just kind of brushed it off. Like, okay, yeah, sure. The next morning, one of our team members comes around and is knocking on doors and waking us all up, telling us, "There's a hurricane coming, you guys, there's a hurricane coming." Of course, we think it's a prank come and find out, yeah, there was a hurricane coming, and okay, this was before we just all had internet on our phones and stuff. But there was a network at the hotel, and we had like one person that had a laptop, and so she was telling us that she had seen, news alert that there was a hurricane that was supposed to hit later that day. And so we thought, how come no one told us? Then we realized someone did try to tell us. We didn't understand what they were talking about. But they didn't seem too worried about it. Well, by the time it hit a few hours later, it was a category 3 when it hit the coast. Wow. And we were in Jacmel, Haiti, which is on the southern coast, and it hit us head on. And it picked up, and there was just strong wind and rain, just sideways rain, and trees bending over, and metal roofing coming off and blowing down the street, just all day long. Of course, I've never been in a hurricane head on. I've been in them before, just kind of on the fringes of them on the East Coast of the U.S., but I just didn't really know what to expect. And so it just blew by just all day and just kept getting more and more intense. There was more and more water. The ends of this is a multi-story hotel, just all concrete, really strongly built. And but it was kind of open air at the end of the hallways. There was a porch at the end of each hall that was open air, and so the water was just coming down the hallways. All the floor is tile, so to them it was fine. Just water rushing down the stairs. It was crazy.
Wow!
But there was also a rooftop deck. So we went up there, and part of it was covered and part of it was open. So we would run out there in the wind and see how far we could go if we jumped, how far the wind would push us and stuff. And it was just, crazy. And we did fake, weather report newscasts out in the hurricane with everything blowing by, and, but it was really weird because for us, we just had to just stay there and hole up in this hotel, and we're kind of having fun. Meanwhile, the world's getting wrecked all around us. It's really weird. It's kind of, it's really sad. But people were walking around like it was just a normal storm. People were just going about their lives. And if you know nothing about Haitians, you need to understand they are very resilient people and very resourceful. And they just survive. And they've been through so much. And they are right now. But so all this was going on all day, and then just suddenly, it just very quickly, within, it seemed like, 5 or 10 minutes, just cleared up. We're like, wow, just beautiful, calm. And I'd heard about this growing up, what the eye of a hurricane is like. I remember from elementary school just learning about hurricanes, but it really was like it was over. And so we're like, okay, I guess, we'll go out and see what we can do to help people around and clear up. And everyone was like, go back inside. It's not over. Like, what? The sky's beautiful. You can't see either way you look, horizon to horizon. There's no clouds or anything. And so sure enough, the eye went over us and the storm picked back up, and it was more intense than ever for the first hour or so of that. And then we were sitting there in the hotel, and by this point we were really worried about the church that we're working with. A lot of them were friends of ours. We'd been going for a few years and knew these people really well. And so we were worried about them and thinking we've got to get in contact with them and make sure they're all okay. The homes they live in are definitely built differently from this hotel. And just about that time, some people come walking up the stairs. We're all upstairs on that upper level. They all come walking upstairs, and they've got big pots of rice and stew and all kinds of stuff on their heads, and they've brought us our dinner. They walked probably 10 miles through the hurricane to bring the Americans our food, because we're helpless and rolled up in this hurricane.
10 miles.
Yeah, so it's pretty extreme.
Whoa.
And we're just thinking that just kind of shows the contrast between us and them and what we can survive, And here we were worried about them, and they were so worried about us. They walked that 10 miles to bring us food because they were worried. Wow. So it was just incredible. And we were supposed to leave the next day to go to the airport and come home, actually. Of course, that got all delayed, but we were able to make it. And there's a whole other story about the road being closed, like you were talking about. were just mudslides had washed over the road, and just part of the road was actually just broken off and fell down into the valley and all this stuff. But we did eventually make it back. But it was just a wild experience.
Wow.
Your story definitely wins. I mean, that's pretty
So
extreme.
Yeah.
It was pretty wild.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember one time you talk about how the homes are made in certain areas and how they, they're not built to really resist the kind of weather they have in the area and all. When I was in Myanmar, the people lived in a hut, like a bamboo hut, but they actually were built with like a little up from the ground, and you had to like go steps up. I never understood like why are they doing this? Because then you walk in the house and you're afraid your foot's gonna go through, or, and all this in that bamboo floor. But then I understood one of the days that we were there was a rain. And you can see when I went back to the village that I was assigned to, that the water, how much it goes up whenever all that, because they don't have drains, for water in those areas. So the water goes up, and if they do as high as they can, because the water can go to the house and reach the floor. But I remember before the rain, we had these like little, like a piece of wood that you would have to walk through to get to the house. And this was just like a dirt hole in there. And I'm like, what in the world is this? Like, why do we have to walk through this and not go straight, And then when it rained, I saw that, that dirt under there becomes like a little, like a mini lake, and so you do need those wood there for you to cross, or you're gonna,
it's like a moat,
walk in water.
Yeah.
Wow. It's just sad to see how they are affected by a simple rain, because of the way their houses are and stuff. So anyways,
a lot of people are definitely really resilient.
Yes.
And you go somewhere like that and experience it, and it just gives you a new perspective on the way we live our lives and how our houses are.
The people we meet there, they are survivors.
Yeah.
Like we don't think about it, but for them to survive from birth to become an adult, there's a lot that they overcome. As opposed to us, many times we're just spoiled inside the home for so many. Mom and daddy doing even our laundry for us and all the stuff. We don't understand how people have to do to survive and become an adult. So.
I remember being in a little village in the Philippines, and it was all bamboo houses up on stilts as well, and it was over a swamp. It was a tidal swamp. So there was always some water under the houses, but there was a little bridge, like a footpath bridge that connected a village that was kind of more on land to this village out over the swamp. Mm-hmm. And when the tide came in, that whole bridge would be covered. And so there were certain times of the day you just couldn't pass. And so it was interesting because the church that I was working with that week, or for part of the week, that's where they were. And actually the cool thing about this church is all of the members there were people that had been saved from that community. And it was literally, their community. So it was really cool. And they wanted to reach out to more people there and into the other towns. So we just had to schedule all of our visits kind of on the mainland till for the times of the day where the tide was out and we could pass.
Wow.
It was really interesting. We just don't think about that kind of stuff.
No.
Yeah. Well, if these stories of extreme weather don't scare you off and you want to experience the kind of life change and the kind of partnership and friendship that we talked about earlier, and all the wonderful things that happen, the things that we get to experience, the ways that we get to see God move, and go and meet some of these incredible people that we've been talking about that are survivors, the people that are just following Jesus with everything they have and making sacrifices to make Jesus known and to invite us to come and work with them. Guess what? you can do that. You can go and you can meet them. Go on one of our international partnerships. You can go on our website, internationalcommission.org, and find out where we're going next year and sign up to go. You can also help support some of these leaders by sponsoring an end-to-end partnership or investing in international leaders. All different ways to give and pray and go to partner with us on mission. If you got any questions, you can reach out to us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, send us an email, and we'll be glad to get in touch with you and help to put your feet on the mission field. Hope you'll come back for another episode, and we hope you'll share this podcast with your friends if you like it, if you want to learn more about IC. Until then, we'll continue equipping and enabling everyone that we can until everyone's had a chance to hear the name of Jesus.
Amen.
All right, we'll see you next time.
All right.